Hello everyone, welcome back on our channel. As you already know that we have started a video series related to the preparation of ISTQB exam. Until now we have completed two chapters. From today we are gonna start chapter number 3, which is about static testing. First of all, in this chapter we have two main topics. The first one is static testing basics, and the second part will be about the review process and techniques. uh, which terms you should know at the end of this chapter or the end of this videos related to chapter number 3. Just focus on these terms. Whenever you start a chapter, just make a goal that by the end of that particular chapter you should be familiar with these terms. Like over here, some terms are given like ad hoc, review, checklist based, so whatsoever. You should be able to tell the basic definition of all of these testing of testing terms, or whatsoever these terms are, by the end of the chapter. So chapter number 3, here we have some basic topics, 3.1, 3.2. Now we will start in detail. Before starting, if you are new on our channel, don't forget to subscribe our channel, like our videos, and share with your friends as well. So today we will start the static this chapter number 3, which is basically about the static testing, and we have two parts, as I have told you. In first part we will have some basics, and the second part, also an important part, is about the review. So what actually static testing is, I will tell you. Like, static testing is, as the name suggests, in this particular testing type of testing, you will not run your test cases, you will not run your application, but you will only do a static. Like, it's an opposite of dynamic testing. So in contrast to dynamic testing, which require the execution of the software being tested, static testing relies on the manual examination of the work product. As I told you, work product could be anything: your business requirement, your basic requirement, your code, any kind of documentation which is involved in the complete life cycle of your software or software testing. It is known as a work product. So static testing basically relies on the manual examination of work product, i.e. reviews or tool driven evaluation of the code or the other work products. Static analysis, I definitely want to clear here a basic difference, or like some basic terms here. I will just will write here how these terms actually are a part of static testing. Basically, the main term is static testing. Under static testing, we have two types. The first one is, let's say, is review, and the second one is static analysis. As you have seen here right now, that what is static testing, actually it could be a manual examination of work product, or tool driven which is called reviews, manual, or tool driven evaluation of the code or the other work product, static analysis. So static testing has two parts. The first one is review, the second one is static analysis. Let's discuss these two, not in more detail, but for a basic overview. So what is review? Review, as they have mentioned, it's a manual process. That means, as the name is suggesting, we only do the review. For example, we look into the requirement. A team is there, some experts are sitting, they are looking into the requirement and confirming that is there any ambiguity in the requirement, are the requirements not complete, will it create a problem during the development phase. Like, they will do the review. Even they can review the design as well, your software, your module, your complete system, they can review as well. Then, like, for example, the very common term, maybe many of you are familiar with this term, which is code review. You develop a code, and then you normally you set a meeting with your team lead, maybe your colleague, and you discuss with him or her, like, how my code looks like, and then he gives you some tips maybe, or like, then he or she reviews your code and tells you, yeah, it's working fine. Similarly, maybe your test cases can be reviewed as well. like you have written some test cases, or you have written some test plans whatsoever, what you have written, or some you have written some documents, reviewed whatsoever, they can be reviewed. So review is a simple, you read a document, this document could be requirement, could be your test plan, could be your high level design, could be your I will write here, could be your high level design, could be your low level design, could be your code, anything, it can comes under review. So the first type of static testing was manual, like review. The second, as you have seen here, they are saying a tool driven evaluation of the code or work product, i.e. static analysis. So what static analysis is? Static analysis is also a part of static testing, but anyhow it's a tool driven. Like it's different from the review. How? Normally you can say it's an automatic activity. Tool driven or not manual. Like in review we were only reading the document or reading the code or reading the requirements, but in static analysis is automatic. Like I will give you an example. For example, you have your own development environment, you are a developer and you have your own development environment, integrated development environment, and while developing the code you are getting like some warnings, some alphabetic problems. Like these days IDEs are very smart and they give you some like some warnings that there is some spelling mistake, there are some other issues, so like even before starting the code, when you are coding they are giving you some errors, so it is automatically like you are doing basically a static analysis. Mostly we do the static analysis on the code, like as you see there are some warnings when we run our even before the code there are some warnings, running the code there are some warnings, it's also come under static analysis. Then for example I can give you an example, then you will come to know a Word document. Let's say you have a Word document, you are working in Microsoft Word any version, but you know it could be any version, 2010, 17, 20 whatsoever, and then you do some spelling mistake or some grammar mistake, then there are some underlines, they notify you that there is some mistake. That means you are getting some warning. That is a static analysis. Then for example we have some tools, for example for the code analysis, we have Misra standard. We have a very famous tool from the MATLAB, or this from the same company MathWorks, which is Polyspace. It is also for static code analysis and to see that if we are following the standards or not. So actually static analysis is automatic. It could be anything, like you have written anything in Word. If you are reading that document, it's a review. But if that document is because of its artificial intelligence, it's already giving you some warnings, then it's static analysis. So basically static analysis can also be done on any work product, similarly as reviews. So static analysis is basically, as I told you, is a kind, you can say it's a kind of automatic method. I hope I have cleared your concept. It's not that you don't need to go in that deep, but it was only for your basic concept clearance. We will discuss in detail what are the reviews. This chapter is mainly focused on the reviews, and we will also discuss about static analysis, not in detail, but the tools will be definitely discussed. There is a separate chapter number 6, which is totally based on the tools, and in that chapter actually we will discuss in detail about the tools. So now you know the basic difference, or not a difference, but actually there are two types of static testing. One is the review and the other one is static analysis. This we have seen. So both types of static testing assess the code or the other work product being tested without actually executing the code or work product being tested. It's very common. Like it's a common sense. For example, it's a static testing, so either it is review or static analysis. In both cases we never run our test cases, we never actually execute our code. They both are static. Static analysis is important for safety critical computer system, aviation, medical or nuclear software, but static analysis has also become important and common in other settings. For example, static analysis is an important part of security testing. Like for example, you are actually you are, there is some automatic suggestion during static analysis from your tool. It tells you that your system is not secure. Static analysis is also often incorporated into automated software build and distribution tools, for example agile development, continuous delivery and continuous deployment. Like it's a very common methodology. Static analysis is being applied in agile development models. So work products that can be examined by static testing. What are the work products that could be examined using static testing? Like either review or static analysis, they both are static testing. uh, so before reading it, you can see that anything which is related to our project is basically a work product, which is giving us the instruction. So almost any work product can be examined using static testing, reviews or static analysis. For example, specifications including business requirement, functional requirement, security requirement. Then even static testing can be done on epics, user stories and acceptance criteria, architecture and design specification, code, test ware, test plan, test procedure, user guides, web pages, contract, project plan. Like whatsoever work product you have for example a complete project plan of 2000 pages, you can do static testing of that. How? By doing reviews, by reading it, with your team, or maybe then you can put it in some grammar check tool, and then it will be static analysis. So static testing can be applied on any work product. Configuration setup and infrastructure setup. Models such as activity diagram may be used for model based testing. This is not for you. Model based testing, or like activity diagrams, or some class diagrams, whatsoever we do in UML, it is not the part of foundation level, it's a part of model based tester. So just only for the basic knowledge. Review can be applied to any work product that the participant know how to read and understand. So review, which is a part of static testing, can be applied to any work product. Static analysis can be applied efficiently to any work product with a formal structure, typically code or models. But actually static analysis, they are telling, is typically being applied on the models and the code for which an appropriate static analysis tool exists. For example, if there is no static analysis tool, no automatic tool for you, then you cannot do static analysis. Then you only need to do the reviews. Static analysis can even be applied with tools that evaluate work product written in natural language, such as requirement checking for spelling, grammar and readability. So it is everything. Like something is written in natural language, like our requirements are written in English. We can put it in any you can say some grammar check tool, and then we tell, like word for example, like there is some grammar mistake. So this all is static analysis. So what are the benefits of static testing? It is very clear. It is a common principle of testing. Start testing as early as possible in the software development lifecycle. If you do the testing from the very start, for example, if you do the testing on requirements, then your requirements will be very clear. Based on that, your product or code which is being developed will be very clear, will be error free. Then the testing will also be done in similar way. So if you start testing as early as possible in your life cycle, you will save the cost. Otherwise, if this error or if this bug is replicated to the higher stages, for example to system testing, then it will take a lot of cost and effort. So static testing technique provide a variety of benefits. When applied early in the software development lifecycle, static testing enable that early detection of defects before dynamic testing is performed, i.e. requirement or design specification review, backlog refinement. Like even before the development, even before dynamic testing, if you apply static testing on your code, even on your requirement or some specifications, it will help you a lot. Defects found early are often much cheaper to remove than defects found later in the life cycle, especially compared to defect found after the software is deployed and in active use. As I told you, it will cost a lot of money if you found some ambiguity or some problem after the system has been deployed or developed. Using static testing technique to find defects and then fixing those defects promptly is almost always much cheaper for the organization than using dynamic testing to find defect in the test object and then fixing them, especially when considering the additional cost associated with updating other work product and performing confirmation and aggregation testing. Like if your product is already developed, you found some bug, now you need to go back, trace back it to the basic level, like what was the problem in the requirement or business requirement, that's why my software is developed in the wrong way, then it will cost a lot of money. But if you have the requirement, you do a static testing of that, for example review of that, and then some senior requirement engineers tell you this requirement is not up to the mark, then you can change that requirement. Then you will save a lot of money because you have found a bug very early in the life cycle. Additional benefits of static testing include detecting and correcting defects more efficiently prior to dynamic execution, identify defects which are not easily found, preventing defect in design or coding, increasing development productivity, like your development would be very error free, reducing development cost and time, reducing testing and cost and time, reducing total cost of quality, improving communication between team member in course of participating in reviews. There could be many things many benefits of static testing. So this you can read in detail. Now the difference between the static testing and the dynamic testing, we will try to read here. Static testing and dynamic testing can have the same objectives as we have read in section, like the testing techniques. This difference we have seen already chapter number 1, such as providing an assessment of the quality of the work product and identify defect as early as possible. So objective basically of both testing, static or dynamic, are the same. Static and dynamic testing complement each other by finding different type of defects. So actually they actually improve the quality of your product. One main distinction is that static testing find defect in the work product directly rather than identifying failures caused by the defect when software is run. Like when the software is run, you found the bug, you say, oh, it could be in the code, but then you see the code was developed as per the requirement, so then this bug or this error could be in the requirement section. Then you see requirements are fine, then you go to the root cause. Maybe your product owner has misunderstood the requirement from the customer. So actually the static testing will go to the root cause or will directly identify the failure. A defect can reside in a work product for a very long time without causing a failure. The path where defect lies may be rarely exercised or hard to reach, so it will not be easy to construct and execute a dynamic test that encounters it. Like there could be some defect which has never come out. Your software is running properly, but if you do the static testing properly, you can find that bug very early. Static testing may be able to find the defect with much less effort. Another distinction is that static testing can be used to improve the consistency and internal quality of the work product, while dynamic testing typically focuses on externally visible behaviors. Like static testing can also, for example, you have written some code, you have performed a review with your colleague, he or she told you like put some more commands, do refactoring of it, and your code looks pretty good and neat and clean, so like your quality is improved. So static testing improves the quality. Compared with the dynamic testing, the typical defect that are easier and cheaper to find and fix through static testing. Requirement defects, they can only be found with the static testing. Design defect, coding defect, deviation from standards, then incorrect interface specifications, security vulnerabilities, is a susceptibility to buffer overflows. For example, during reviews you come to know that this buffer has already overflowed, though it is only possible during the review, because if you do dynamic testing, during dynamic testing you will only get a error. You will never come to know that there could be a buffer overflow. But if you discuss the code with your colleague who is already expert in this domain, he or she can tell you during review there could be a problem with the buffer overflows. So this could also be found during static testing. Gap or inaccuracies in test basis traceability or coverage, this can also be found. Like for example, you have not linked a particular requirement to a particular test case. When customer asks which test case is fulfilling this requirement number, then you have no clue. So like during reviews of the requirement, you check that either all the requirements are linked with the test cases. So these are the common examples. Moreover, most types of maintainability defects can only be found by static testing, e.g. improper modelization, poor reusability of the component, code that is difficult to analyze and modify without introducing new defect. These all are possible with the static testing only. So in this video we have discussed in detail about the static testing. Now in the next video or next videos we will discuss in detail about the review process. Like static testing is static analysis we have seen already. There is very basic intro of static analysis. Now this chapter will purely focus on the second type of static testing, which is review. How the review works, what are the roles and responsibilities in a formal review, what are different types of reviews, and then even what are the different roles or techniques in reviews and success factors for reviews. This we will see in detail in upcoming chapters. If you have any question, any doubt about this first video, or you can put in the comment section. Don't forget to give us the feedback as well, subscribing our channel, liking our video. I wish you a happy learning, and until the next video, take care. Bye.